next team will be led by only Finnish GM of the NHL, Jarmo Kekäläinen. So how do you see that this GM has been able to build Columbus Blue Jacket to success, or has his trade deadline moves during the last few seasons destroyed long-term success of the team?
Well, it comes as no surprise that I'm a big fan of Jarmo Kekäläinen, of course, and also Columbus for personal reasons. But I don't think he's done anything to destroy the potential success. I think he's done what needs to be done in NHL in order to compete. You can't just keep on losing all the time. You have to push once in a while. And Columbus is in a good position player-wise and good position in young players coming through. So they have nothing really to be ashamed of. So going along and ahead with John Tortorella is of course a little bit questionable, but so far it's been working fine. So I don't see any changes there. Columbus has been very much thought to be a lot worse than they actually have been, and they always manage to pull the rabbit out of the hat. So I'd say hats off for Tortorella and Jarmo Kekäläinen for that. Last season was a good example for that, of course. They lost most of their top players after that all in season 2 years back. Bobrovsky, Panarin, Duchesne left, leaving Columbus basically without any top players in their organization. But that didn't really matter because Tortorella still did exactly the same thing he's done a couple of years in a row. So it seems that it doesn't matter who is there, who plays. It's always the same. They have a very constant line. It's a shame they haven't yet been able to go further in the playoffs, but they're a really tough team to play against. You can ask Tampa, you can ask the other Eastern teams. It's not fun to play against Columbus. How about in our predictions? How have we been doing with Columbus lately?
Columbus is an interesting team because there hasn't been too much expected value based on our simulations, and that usually means that odds are maybe aligned with our numbers, or our numbers are aligned with odds. So there has been only 36% of the games in home games that some expected value has been, and 44% of the away games. But when there has been expected value, that has been profitable. So out of the home games, you would end up winning over 600 during the last 3 seasons by betting those games with positive expected value. And then another interesting topic is that whenever they are on the road, the first games are a bit difficult, but when they hit their strides in the long road trips, they are playing pretty well. So if there's a third or more road trip game, the win percentage increases to 52%, and that seems to continue also to the home game. So first home game win percent is 58, and that is higher than their average. And that also results that if you have been betting the first home game, or you have been betting the last games of their road trips, you have been able to win quite well. So home games with expected value over 600, road games with expected value, that is the third or more road game in that trip, over 500. So those are the cases that I would at least take a look during next season, that if there's a value to bet for Columbus. But you said that they are changing the new division, and they are not facing anymore the big guns from the East like Boston, Washington, Pittsburgh. Do you think there will be easy matchups from the Central Division?
I wouldn't say easy matchups per se, but I think it's something that Tortorella does really well, is match up with the team, the opposition. All these sort of playoff series have shown that he's very good in making it difficult for the opponent in the longer run. So now when we're heading into this sort of season that you play very many games against the same opponents, I think it might be a very good thing for Columbus, as of if you compare it to facing the Pittsburghs and Philadelphia's, Washingtons day in day out in playoffs as well. So I think for Columbus this is an excellent chance to do some surprises again. But let's be not surprised this time. So we're prepared that they might actually be better than expected. How about the predictions in our end? How have they been against the divisional opponents?
Those teams that they should win, like let's say Detroit and maybe Florida, they have been winning. So 8 out of 9, for example, against Florida last 3 seasons. And then there are some teams like Carolina that they have been also playing pretty well. So out of 11 games they played against Carolina, they won 64% of those. And some kind of maybe statistical hiccup is the games against the Dallas. They have played 5 times against Dallas in last 3 years, and they won all of those. So Dallas that have been a bit better teams, last Stanley Cup finalists, have been just a bite of the cake for them. Has there been many changes now during this off-season in Columbus? Like you said, 2 years ago, all the top guns were gone, and they still managed to play very well. What is the situation now from the trade markets?
Not that big changes in the rosters. They added a little bit depth with Mikko Koivu, for example, coming to fill in for the bottom 6. Definitely brings in the same thing that Tortorella and Kekäläinen really like. So he's a gritty player, works well both ways, defensively, offensively. Maybe not as productive anymore. He's getting a little bit older as well. There is one issue facing Columbus at the moment. They just made a new deal with their number 1 centerman, Pierre-Luc Dubois, but he has already stated that he might want a trade somewhere else. So it's something that Jarmo Kekäläinen has to deal with if that is true. Last time this sort of thing happened, he traded Ryan Johansson for Seth Jones, which worked out pretty well for Columbus. So I'm sure that he'll be able to find a good trade here. Columbus added also Max Domi, changed to Josh Anderson, completely different kind of player, feisty, young, speedy player. Alexander Texier is taking steps forward already. Last season was very good. Liam Foudy is stepping in as well. So there is a young talent coming through in Columbus ranks. But I have to point out the defense and the goaltending tandem they have. That's still their strength, and the whole team works through the defense, as is usual with the Tortorella's team, that there are no freeloaders. Everyone is playing defense. And then, of course, assisting in offense as well. Like we can see, Jack Werenski won the defenseman's goal scoring race last season. Seth Jones, one of the Norris candidates for sure. So it's a very balanced team without that much of star power maybe, but as we have seen, John Tortorella doesn't really need that sort of star power in order to be competitive. So we'll look what will Jarmo do with Pierre-Luc Dubois situation, and maybe he's able to bring in some star players as well, but that remains to be seen. How about the season predictions? How do they look on our end in the past couple of seasons?
Columbus is interesting team because, like you said, the players have changed, but they have played pretty same. And Vegas seems to hit their points line very closely. So 3 years ago, it was over 0.5 points, so half point over. And same thing happened 2 years ago. So first we predicted over 3 years ago, then we predicted that it would go under. Actually, our prediction was that it would go 2.5 points under, so we missed only by 3 points, but anyhow we missed it. And now last year the Vegas line for the Columbus was 84.5, and they already got in 70 games 81, so most probably they would go over this time again. Our prediction was 83 points, so 1.5 points lower than Vegas line. Do you think that it would be fourth time in a row when they go over, and would that be the bet for you as well?
Yeah, I think that's something that could happen easily now, especially with the new division. It's a different ball game altogether. So I think they are doing better than many expect, and like I've said before, the players change. There is no star players, but it doesn't matter. They play their own style. They have the system, and this team can really work some magic. So I would check the line, of course, first. But if it states that they are doing it to the average level, let's go over.
And is there current odds suggesting any long shot bets for Stanley Cup win or similar?
Yeah, Stanley Cup win is always a bit of a long shot. It's the odds are around 4,500 for Columbus to win the Stanley Cup. I could put a little bit of wooden pennies to that. It's very unlikely to happen, but since I like Columbus a lot, I will definitely put something in it. Winning the division in the Central is difficult. There is, of course, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Nashville. And the odds for Columbus to win that division are 750. So it's very close. I'd say the odds in there are pretty much in line. So let's stay away from that one. But let's take the Stanley Cup for the longest of odds for a very little sum.
Sounds good. And they won 2 years ago, Tampa 4-0. They could do that again.
Yeah, and it's a weird season, so I think these kind of teams are always getting a little bit of advantage to these extraordinary circumstances.
Let's see what happens with Jarmo and Torch.
Will do.
Have a good one.
Good night.